This is Trophy Gold, the Rime Palace Part 2. We are currently down a player, but I think we have a lot of fictional justification for saying that Nevin just wandered off into a side hallway, leaving the two of you in the Hall of Games. I'm going to pull up the incursion really quickly because I have not done that. Find the Hall of Games. Find this whole incursion, that would be helpful. Here we go. Okay. So just as a little bit of a recap, no matter where you enter the palace, its twisting corridors of fog, lace, and glass will bring you to the Hall of Games, and you are here. It's a long hall full of game tables, many of them covered with pieces made of delicate glass figurines. The floor is made of alternating squares of white marble and black obsidian. The set goal here, which I did not tell you last time, but I'm telling you now, win masks that can get you past the palace's guardians. I'll type that for you. That, of course, is an out of character goal, but as a player, you should aim for it because the implication is that the palace's guardians are things you need to get past and not deal with. At the center of the hall, there is a grand game table at which there is a man who is wearing kind of out-of-date clothing. He also appears to be human, not fae, for what that's worth. And he's got a crystal collar around his neck. And he sort of greets you and says, "Would you like to engage in a bit of competitive amusement?" And I guess I'll just ask at this point, Osto, what do you do?
I think because we kind of came through a portal here, if I remember right.
No, you came. You came back through the portal. You actually came back through the physical structure of the palace when you used the portal to go to the bridge. And then you just wandered here and found your way here.
Okay. I imagine this is one of those spaces that now that we're in it, I turn and look back and the way we came is no longer there. That one of those sort of situations. No. Okay.
In fact, so on the other side of the hall, you can see a beaded curtain that goes presumably somewhere else.
Okay. So I think Osto kind of looks back, looks around the man. Is there anything of value in this room?
Take a hunt roll just to kick things off.
Okay. That's one light.
Yeah, unless you have a skill that's particularly relevant based off how you've described it.
I do have a skill in metals, so if there's any like precious.
Oh, I'll take that. Yeah, that works.
Okay. Yep. Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
That's double sixes.
Yeah. You get a token, and yeah, I'll tell you straight away. So there's like lots of little tables around the central table, and there are assorted game pieces and tokens all over the tables for playing of games, and many of them are ivory, sapphire, but also some very like beautiful, like precious metals, gold, platinum, that kind of thing. If you were to collect these, they would be worth a fair amount of money. Let me check in with Esfahan. What are you doing right now?
She does briefly glance back, but then she steps forward a little bit, seeing that Osto is a little distracted, and she says, how could I enter a competitive game when we haven't yet been introduced?
He says, A very excellent point, and I do hope you will forgive my rudeness. My name is Syrah Morris. Type that for you. My name is Syrah Morris. I am the games warden of this palace. It is my job to engage the residents and guests of this home in all manner of tabletop and gambling amusements.
Is this a paid job, or that collar looks a little bit tight?
Yeah, I was about to say he's kind of like instinctively like kind of fingers the crystal collar a bit and says, I love my duties here in the Rime Palace. Nothing makes me happier than playing a game with the random people who wander through here.
Espan curtsies as gracefully as possible as she can in this clothing, and she says, "Well met. I am Estelle."
Charming.
I think Osto like just kind of nods gruffly, and I am, and then like he pauses like a little over long as he remembers stories of like maybe not giving your name to those associated with the Fae, and he's just like, Tosto.
He says, interesting. That sounds delicious. Can I interest either of you, Esto and Tostel, in a game today?
Stella, please.
I think Osto shrugs and goes over to one of the tables. I'm assuming there are chairs, or chairs, or they're like standing height. Either way,
yeah, both. Probably both. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I think he'll go over to. I think he's maybe hesitant to sit anywhere in here. So if there's like a standing table of some kind, he'll go over to that and lean against it and just well, what sort of games do you have? And he's like his hands are sort of like drifting a little closer to some of the game pieces.
Yeah. He says, well, given our proximity to all the places, we have access to all the games. And I'm sure if there is a game that you are particularly interested in, Toaster, we can certainly find the pieces and have at it. I myself know many, many games. I have lots of time to learn the rules of games.
I think Osto like thinks for a minute. I think he likes simple gambling games, probably mostly. So his mind immediately goes to things like simple dice games or like roulette or something. But then, bearing in mind that he kind of wants to abscond with some of the pieces, he instead tries to think of what games have the most valuable pieces. And so I think slightly out of character for him, he's like, do you play chess?
Oh, yes. I love chess. Love it. Just love it. Moving pieces, capturing pieces, checkmates, all that. Very, very entertaining, actually.
Well, I'm very particular about the chess sets that I will use, but if you have a rather fine one, I'm sure we could play a game.
I think if you look over there, you'll see a chess set with pieces carved from jade, which, as I recall, in the before times, jade is a fairly valuable mineral. Does that meet your requirements, Toasty?
I think Osto will like cast a glance at Esfahan. As long as they are carved by sufficiently quality craftspeople.
I do wonder what said craftspeople were thinking. Do you ever think they consider where the game pieces they're crafting are going to end up, in some dowager's parlor, perhaps, or the dusty old nook of a library, or an possibly ancient fey palace that has all the games and one games warden?
I try my best not to think of such things.
Probably for the best. And what about you, Estelle? Would you like to join me for a game?
Not quite yet. I suppose you should play with my friend Tosto first, but if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to ask you some questions while you play.
Oh, yes. Nothing would make me happier than sitting here, because I choose to, listening to your questions while I do my job. Ah, what is your question?
Well, to start off, how long have you been working here?
Oh gosh, I've learned hundreds and hundreds of games at this point. So you do the math.
Very long time then. Has there been anyone who stuck out as they visited?
Well, I have to tell you, most of the people I encounter are very skilled game players, surprisingly. I rarely get a win. That's because I play by the rules, of course. There's no room or call for cheating here. So Osto, or Tosto, he puts the pieces together and says, all right, have a seat. We have to have a wager. If you like to gamble, we can certainly have a little wager. How about this? I shall put forth a vial of starlight. And he does indeed put forth a fine crystal vial filled with a luminescent glow. Pure bottled starlight. Can you imagine such a thing?
I think Osto leans down, takes a closer look. Oh, it is certainly beyond my comprehension. I have
Who knew stars were so small?
I know they look very small, so
A fair point. I suppose everything in life is about one's perspective. Your perspective, for example, is someone who's casually blown in here to play a game and presumably go on somewhere else. And my perspective is someone who hosts the games, because I'm the games warden. Always.
I must ask.
Must you?
Indeed. You haven't mentioned what the rules are.
Oh, just standard sorts of rules. As long as you don't cheat, it doesn't really matter. That's the most important rule of all. No cheating.
Of course.
Now, I've made my opening move, which is to offer a wager. What is your wager, Tosti?
I would like to make a different wager. Your bottle of starlight is very attractive, yes, but I think someone with your experience here is perhaps even more valuable.
I don't think you quite understand how this works, Testes. You must first say you have to offer something. You can't make a commentary on what I offer and then ask for something else.
Well, maybe
What
we'll
are you
see
going
with
to
next
bet?
game. For this one is an appetizer, perhaps. I will put forth this, and he puts out his collection of teeth. It's worth a gold piece.
Oh my. These are uh, very exceptional teeth. I can't imagine why anybody would want a bottle of light decocted from a star in the sky when they could have all of these teeth. But nevertheless, it's all about perspective, isn't it? Now that the wages are set, let us make our moves. And he makes a move. And you can begin play. What are you doing in the meantime, Espen? Oh, go ahead, Austin.
I was going to ask, is it possible to cheat at the game if he doesn't know the rules?
Okay, here's the thing. We'll get to that in a moment. Espen, what are you doing while the game starts?
Esfahan can't watch this because no cheating involves that she can't implies that she can't stand there and make suggestions. So standing there would be extremely painful for her. So she decides to actually just go look around the room and see what else is in there.
Yeah. As you're walking around the room, you smell the sharp scent of spilled liquor, like cordials, but there's like no obvious source where it's coming from. One of the game tables actually has like a crystal top that like kind of is still kind of spinning gently and has a wobble. Who knows what game it's used for? And take a hunt roll. We'll kind of see if you find anything else more interesting than that.
I don't think I have any skills that are relevant. Present. So one light die. Oh, nice.
Hey, good. You got a 6. Take a token. I'll tell you that you don't see any other like guardians or things to be worried about. The room is fairly empty otherwise, and there's almost nothing to stop you from just like swiping some game pieces.
So Espen is going to pick up a couple of game pieces and just hold them in her hand and then walk around a little bit more, see if anything happens.
No, Syrah is very, very focused on the game.
And then she's going to call out to hopefully distract the gameskeeper and give Osto a little more of a chance there. And she says, "Is it just you here then? I don't seem to see anyone else."
Oh, yes, just me. And the occasional passerby as well. But for now, just me. And the two of you, of course. Osto, the games warden is definitely cheating. He clearly knows how to play chess, and he's definitely cheating. And you're going to lose because he's cheating. He's like moving pieces when he thinks you're not looking. He's citing obscure rules and variations and points of order and decorum that you've never heard of, but that always seem to favor him. What do you do?
I think Osto can tell. Like, he doesn't really know the rules of this game, so he's like very gullible in that sense. Is like, oh yeah, sure, there's this esoteric rule. Oh, I didn't know about that. I wasn't aware they played like that here. But he is smart enough to realize that he's losing. Like he can tell that his pieces are growing fewer and fewer, and he started off with more. I think while Esfahan is like engaging him in conversation a little bit, he's gonna stand up and just sort of like, like say that he's stretching his legs, to think about the game a little bit more, and he's going to like sort of pace near the table, and I think maybe while the games master is turned and staying, responding to Esfahan in some way, I think he's going to take his hefty cudgel, and I think he's going to try to shatter the collar around his neck.
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Feels like a risk roll. It is a risk roll. I'm curious. Here's some chance to really build the fiction ourselves. Kavya, what do you think could go wrong here?
So the very first thing, which is the obvious direction and the direction I don't want to go, is that that it hurts the gameskeeper to the collar, but that's boring. Maybe in hitting it, it activates some sort of fail-safe measure, which either binds the gameskeeper further or extends the binds in some way to Osto. Some kind of alarm is always an option. And
Yeah, I was thinking that like it the collar interprets your action as you wanting it, and thereby taking it. But let's build a die pool. Do you have a relevant skill? Well, I guess the equipment you're using is your weapon, so you get to get a die for that. And now Devil's Bargains. My Devil's Bargain is this. No matter what, the panel, square, black and white square, I think it's a black one, that you are sitting on or that your chair is on is going to fall out from underneath you.
I think my devil's bargain is no matter what, the room itself starts shifting, rearranging the tables and the pieces on the tables, I guess.
I can make that dangerous if you choose that one.
I like that one. I like that because like Osto is very much thinking in a limited way right now, and so if there's wider consequences, that's always fun.
Very good. You got 2 light dice. I don't think it's a dark die yet, because no one's attacking you or anything. So you can go ahead and just roll 2 light. Hey, there you go.
Wow.
6 light. The die roll is really nice to you guys today.
I'm doing great.
Fabulous. What were you trying to accomplish? Just to smash it?
Yeah, I think he intuited that like he's sort of stuck here. Like he's been very clear about the fact that he's unhappy being here. Yeah. And I think when he just sort of was absentmindedly touching the collar, it's sort of like I think Osto believes that's what's holding him here. I think this is his first attempt. If he breaks this and he like, because here's the thing, if he stops playing the game, then he can't lose, right? And so if he breaks this and he stops, he willingly stops playing with him, then fantastic. If he still wishes to play with him, then Osto's just going to kill him. Because that will then prevent the end of the game and he can not lose, and then he can just take the things that are no longer owned by anyone. And that's kind of where it's at.
I think I know where to go with this. Ultimately, you're trying to break the collar and see what happens, and so we'll do that. But I like your ideas. Thank you. It helps me. The collar does shatter. Describe it.
Yeah. So Osto takes his hefty cudgel. He's been like sort of pacing by the table, ostensibly thinking about his next move in this losing game of chess. And while Esfahan asks a particularly prodding question, I think maybe Sarah turns almost indignant at having to keep address like these two things at once. And as he turns, Osto just sort of like deftly grabs his cudgel and then just swings it at the back of his neck in order to shatter the collar. Assuming it breaks, then I think like he hits it, and probably Sarah is like knocked forward a little bit by this motion, but the crystalline structure cracks and then snaps in half and falls to the ground.
I love it. It's great. Esfahan, at the precise moment that the collar shatters, you might just notice it. It may not even register right away, but the floor tile you're standing on seems to sink under your weight just a bit. it doesn't give yet, but it's you kind of feel just a slight like sinking sensation on that tile. Sarah is holding the pieces of the collar in his hands, and he is looking back and forth, and he drops them, and he goes for his face to see if he's like magically withering away or something, but he's not. He says, incredible. But incredible. All you had to do was just smash the collar. How come I never thought to ask someone to do that before? Why engage in the ridiculous game? Perhaps I love the games more than I let on. Toasty. Perhaps I've been a fool. Yes. The Fey Court nobles have just been laughing at me for years and years while I sit here playing their stupid little games, and I could have just smashed the collar and been done with it. Oh, the irony is deep and terrible and admirable in a way. They play their little games, don't they? Testo, they play them. Take it all, he says to Esfahan. Take the rest of the pieces in your pocket and join them. Have them join the ones in your pocket. What do I care? He says, there is something else, though, I fear. There is the matter of the masks. I am, of course, grateful for you apparently freeing me from my bondage. And I pay you back with the gift of these trifling yet valuable game pieces that the Fey Court nobles will not notice are even missing, but that's beside the point. I want something else in exchange for the masks you need to progress further in your journey.
What do you require more than your own life?
That you get me off of this place. Take me back with you, however you got here.
Wait, I just remembered. Does Osto still have someone strapped to his back?
Oh yeah, I don't know where to do with her. Editha.
We forgot about her.
No, we'll say
we'll
just say Editha's with
she's
Nevin.
been asleep.
She's Nevin.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Oh, so good.
Nevin
Maybe
is right
we
now.
switched off.
Yeah,
we switched off. Editha's on Nevin's
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Wait, so Nevin's holding two gigantic antlers and has Editha strapped to his
Right.
back.
Maybe she's like steering.
They grew him
with
strong
the
in our
antlers.
family.
She uses the antlers like a steering, thing.
I love it.
Yeah. He says, take me with you, and I will give you the masks. How did you get here? Portal, ship, dream?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Sorry, did you say we can get here through dreams?
Well, yes, there are, of course, very, very skilled workers of ritual magic who are capable of visiting Gossamer Void through dreams. It's really rather impressive, I have to say, that you've managed to make it this far in existence here to the very Rime Palace in the center of the Gossamer Void, and you don't even know the practical applications for how you've managed to get here. I've heard there are some people who've managed to travel here via astrolabe. Can you even imagine such a thing?
What a novel concept.
Indeed, indeed. So, will you take me up on my offer or not?
You could stay with me. It seems I have much to learn, much I could learn from you.
Perhaps.
We will need 5 masks then. There's you and me and Esfahan and Nevin and the woman with the crossbow.
Editha, I believe her name was.
He says, yes, all right, fine. Yes, well, anyway. And he produces the masks seemingly out of thin air. The masks are made of solidified fog, silver filigree, and birch bark. He says, wearing one of these will trick the palace's guardians into thinking that you belong here, that you are a Fey court noble. This is good because the palace's guardians are, well, let's just say they don't tolerate intruders. They deal with them in a rather summary manner. And that's Summary, not Summery, which would be a completely different thing. So take your masks. Take whatever else you want from this godforsaken place. And I shall tag along while you finish your business and then just leave.
Osta will definitely collect the chess pieces, the jade set.
Yeah, you could both take enough of these game pieces to be equal to 1 gold each. So.
And I think while they were talking, Esfahan has gotten onto a table to see if spreading her weight will make the tiles sink less.
Oh, yeah. So the tiles, yeah. There's really nothing like they just kind of a little give or a little, little sinking sensation. He says, "Gather all up. You've got what you need here. Who wants the starlight? What does one even do with
I totally
starlight?"
forgot about that. Sure. It was on offer for Osta's game, so Osta will. Oh, I will take my teeth and the stars.
Don't worry, I don't need the teeth. So a windfall for you, hurrah! Now, let's get out of here.
Or it all falls beneath our feet. And Esfahan is going to, I forgot the actual term for it, but leap from table to table to get out via the way they did
parkour.
Come in the other
Yeah. So you're
in
parkouring
a very
on
ballet
the tables.
manner. So
yeah. He's just walking towards Beat a Curtain, and when he gets about 10 paces away, the floor tile beneath him falls from beneath him, and he drops. You hear him cry out, "Damn it!" And at this point, you can hear him having fallen down somewhere. He says, "Get me out of here. We still have a deal."
I mean, Osta's not about to renege on a deal that was made in a Fey palace, unless he absolutely has to. Is there anything that still well? Actually, the floor tiles are starting to give way. Is there any like wall sconces or?
No, the whole place is kind of illuminated with this like blue glow in the walls. Yeah.
Okay. There's a beaded curtain, right?
Yeah, that just seems to go into like more hallway, basically.
I think he's gonna like go and like give a gentle tug on the beads on the curtain. Are they like very stable?
I mean,
he's looking for something to tie a rope off to.
Oh, I wouldn't
won't
trust
probably
that. Probably
fall away. Okay.
No.
All right, then he'll just go for a table that's covering like one of the bigger tables that's covering at least like 2 or 3 tiles, and then he'll tie off to that, and he'll try to let the rope down for our friend Syrah.
Yeah. How much rope do you have?
What a great question. That's something I would just have to procure for my backpack. So however much it says that I have. Rope. 60 feet.
That would be enough. You throw the rope down, and he says, "Well, thank you for that fantastic effort at rescuing me. I have to tell you, there's a bit of a problem. I seem to be stuck. Someone is going to have to come down here and wrest me free."
Oh man. Uh, can you tie the rope around yourself?
Well, it's a bit out of reach as well, because again, I'm stuck, but I see the rope.
Uh, is it long enough that if he like sort of jiggles the rope, he can like kind of get it within arm's reach?
Esfahan, are you going to take a look, Esfahan, from a tabletop looking down into the pit?
Yeah, probably the tabletop that also tied it off to.
Yeah.
Just-
Make a hunt roll.
I think that's only one die. Oh, there it goes. That's a 3.
Encounter something terrible. He's stuck in what appears to be a mass of giant spider webs. And indeed, in the periphery of the scene, you see crystalline arachnids as big as horses with icy blue venom inside their abdomens, crawling along the web, clacking their mandibles together in hunger. Maybe even, and one of them is even like doing a cat's cradle with some of its spider silk. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and figure out what to do here. Now, the rope is indeed just a little bit out of his reach. He can't quite make it. And you do see these spiders, or 3 of them, sort of approaching Sarah's position along this webby, it's like a kind of a cavern, big pit down below. Now, I will tell you that if you think you might have to fight the spiders, you could do a ritual beforehand to weaken them, since you have some space, or ranged weapons, that kind of thing, to do it. Alternatively, you could maybe go down the rope and just try to rescue Sarah, or some other thing I haven't thought of. But in any case, Esfahan, what do you do when you see this?
I was thinking meta, David. So Esfahan could ask Osto to move the table a little more, and while he does that, she can ward the area that Sarah is in. So we can get the rope down and
Yeah, and I could activate my yoke ritual and gain additional spectral bull strength.
help moving
And
that table.
yeah, because it's a big table, and Nevin's not here to help me. You know, tables are usually a 2-person job.
And I'm standing on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that too. So it's got the extra.
Well, so to be clear, how are you getting the rope to him?
So the
if we
idea is
move
to
the table
basically,
closer.
yeah, like to push
drop-
the
to
table
push-
and move it so that the rope
got it.
can
The rope goes a little
there
further.
can be more
Yeah,
rope
yeah.
available,
And then you use the spectral bull to pull him up.
Yeah, my idea is like basically activate my. Oh, actually, what we could just do is, this is riskier, but I do like the look of it. Instead of tying off to the table, which like maybe it's even bolted to the tiles or something, I could tie the rope around my waist, and then use the spectral bull and like basically dangle it over the edge, get him to finally grab it, and then use my strength to try to pull him free of the web.
I like it. Super dangerous. Yeah, go ahead.
Or because we're talking about spectral bull, if we could make it take a more physical form, you could literally send the spectral bull and have him like be lifted by it, literally.
Oh, interesting.
We
have sort of showed it manifest a bit, but
I want to take let's take a look at the text of the ritual. That might be where that's helpful right now. It says, apply the strength of a spectral bull to a situation, which I think is different than sending a spectral bull down into the hole. But I like this as your initial plan is really good. And so I think Osto, you can take the die roll, and then Esfahan can do a help roll if we think that you need it. But regardless, Esfahan can be in the fiction helping.
Yeah, I mean, if Esfahan, you want to use your ward to protect him while we're doing this, that would
Yeah.
help.
That'd be great justification for the help, I think.
Okay.
Okay, I like this a lot. I think it's really good. We've established what you're trying to do. Kavya, any thoughts on what could go wrong? I mean, I think you just get pulled into the
Osto could
hole.
get pulled down.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. You get pulled down to the hole. Also, maybe a spider comes up the rope. Could be a thing as well, right? So yeah. Okay. Let's get some more dice. Do you have a relevant skill here? Endurance, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm using the ritual. I'm not sure if that would count.
Well, you get dark die. That's the dark die is, but
okay.
But now devil's bargains. My devil's bargain is that even with the ward, one of these crystalline spiders is going to get out of the hole. May not get Sarah, but it's going to come up where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I think my devil's bargain is a different direction. It's we're in this Fey palace. It's kind of steeped in magic. We're very, very close to it. And I think what happens is no matter what, the form of that spectral bull starts to affect Osto's form a little.
I also think that like we haven't really done too much with the shape-shifting space yet, which was from the last Devil's Bargain. The tiles kind of hint at that a little bit, but so that might be something I play with as well. Anyway, what are you gonna take one of these offers, David?
Both are good. I am very curious about these spider boys. But we are in a sort of shape-shifting way in this magical palace of Fae, and I think coming from having been at the place with the antlers just moments ago in fiction, I think I'll go with the devil's bargain that Osto starts taking on at least seemingly a more permanent influence from the bull. I'm imagining that'll be in the form of like he like grows horns and stuff, but
like have a glowing bull aura or something. That could be kind of fun. Yeah, I'm super into it. Okay, well, you got 2 light dice and 1 dark die is automatic because of the ritual. So go ahead and we'll risk 2 light, 1 dark, and then we'll get a help roll if you think you need it.
All right, 2 light, 1 dark. That is a 4 light.
Indeed. I'm gonna make the complication. The complication is going to be other floor tiles start falling away and even like moving and changing shape too. Maybe they won't impede Sarah's rescue, but they might impede your escape from this place. So if you don't want to deal with that, you can get a help roll or add a dark die and try again. Esfen, do you want to do a help roll?
Yeah. So the help I'm doing is the warding. Do I roll for the warding or do I just roll a normal help die?
You roll just a normal help die, and the ward is just the fiction of it. And you have to, as long as you don't hit a 1, you're good. So you got a 2. It did not help, but you can add a dark die and re-roll to try to get a 6 if you wish, Osto.
I mean, even if I did, that would increase my ruin. And I'm a little hesitant to do that when we
Only
know
if the
there's
dark
more
die
of
gets
this
higher.
place ahead.
Only if the dark die is higher. Yeah.
But a 2 is
that would be the goal, right? Oh, I guess that you re-roll all of the dice, don't you?
You roll all of them. Yeah, you re-roll you add a dark die and then you re-roll the 2 light and the 2 dark.
Oh, high risk, high reward. I think I'm satisfied with a mixed on this. Okay. We save our boy and things start collapsing, which I think just makes sense. So
yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Please go ahead and describe the initial rescue. What does that look like?
Yeah. I think we see Osto like realizing that the rope is just too short. The spiders are advancing further down the webs. Very spooky. And Osto just like goes over to the table leg he'd tied off the rope to, quickly just kind of like pulls open his knot, ties it around his waist instead, goes over to the hole, and like now with the extra slack, he kind of whips it over into Syrah's waiting hand, and like motions for Syrah to probably wrap it around himself because this is gonna be tough to pull him free. And then he just turns around and just like we see him like sort of like raise his hands in the air and like bring them to his chest, and we see his tattoos begin to glow with the aura. We see like a spectral horns appear around his head. And I think we also, because there's this tie with Esfahan, I think Esfahan, all like that, the same thing happens. The portion of the tattoo that Esfahan has begins to glow, and we see the horns around Esfahan. As we'll of course get to what Esfahan does in a second, but and basically also just starts to march and I think towards the beaded curtain, and try to pull him out.
Yeah, sounds good. Esfahan, do you want to describe the ward?
I have an excellent idea. So what I'm thinking is, so we've had a little bit of intention slash thought slash feeling bleed when one of us uses magic, but now both of us are trying to channel magic. And I think what that does is it makes that connection even bigger. So that initial channel is now more than just a suggestion. It is like having another person speak in your head. So Esfahan cannot concentrate on the ward. She is reaching out to her magic and she's trying, but she's just being bombarded by whatever Osto is thinking in this moment. And she
Osto thinks
cannot.
very loud thoughts also.
Yeah, I don't think that helped. Yeah.
That's great.
So
I
she
love it.
cannot do the ward.
Yeah, that's great. You will pull Syrah up. Here's the problem. Before you can all escape through the beaded curtain, the floor tiles begin to shift wildly. And indeed, they begin to like shift and move around. The space opens up. The pit below kind of opens up, and the squares kind of like float at different levels in this like inky black space, pulling you away from the exit, kind of like a big floating chessboard, but with the squares. You have to hop from one to the other. You've got some choices here. You can take the long route, which will avoid crystal spiders, which have managed to get on the squares as well. Or, but that will require at least 2 risk rolls, 1 from each of you. Or you can take the route where you have to fight a crystal spider.
So I like the idea of us going straight across these tiles because I like the narrative idea of Esfahan taking one end of the rope that one of you has untied and then kind of leaping from tile to tile to the other and then tying it to a pillar or something so you guys can swing across. But I don't know how we do that fight first.
Well, what I was just thinking is it might, because like we're sort of drifting away from our exit, right? Like the tiles are moving and shifting.
Yeah.
Basically, you could take a portion of the rope, and we still have the spectral bull active. I could basically like toss you through the beaded curtain, and you could like tie it off on the other side, and then while like I'm climbing up the rope with Syrah, I mean, we're essentially going to be up against the wall of this thing, and the spiders are below. Like, there could be one of them climbing up after us, and we'll have to fight it. And you can always like you have throwing daggers, so you could help from the room. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, that's a good scene. Actually, I like that a lot.
I
think
love it.
Yeah, I think it's a great scene. We'll frame up to make that happen. It's as you've described. You throw Esfahan to the exit. Esfahan, you're tying off the rope. Osto and Sarah is like holding on to you, and you're like climbing up the side of whatever this is, inky black wall or something. You're climbing up the side to get up to the beaded curtain, and one of the crystal spiders did not make it to one of the tiles, is climbing up. I will remind you that these spiders have visible icy blue venom in their thoraxes, whatever the body part of a spider is called, I don't know. And it is yeah, it's climbing up, and you will see that the spider actually has made, it looks like it has a face on its crystalline body, but it's not, because it's just a bit of webbing that the spider manipulated to look like a face, and the webbing just kind of falls away to reveal the kind of inky black rows of eyes as it crawls up. You don't even see it at first because of its crystalline structure. It just sort of, it has like a kind of partial invisibility, and it's massive. It's as big as a horse. Esfahan, would you like to do ranged combat to reduce its endurance, which is 10, by the way? Oh, did we lose Kavya? I think we might have lost Kavya. David, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
I very much would. So
Okay.
we've been treating the set of no.
Okay.
Hey, can you hear us? You
Yep.
froze up for a bit.
We're back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, problem. We've been treating the set of throwing knives as either replenishing or I go back and pick them up or something, but I have now realized that I have 3 throwing knives that I'm supposed to mark, which side note for me.
It's, yeah, as long as you've been able to pick them up in the past, I think I'm not too worried about it. But now you might lose them because you're throwing them down into a pit.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. We actually have brand new ranged rules. So let's go ahead and just read them. Okay. Help roll be a good chance to try it. Ranged weapons, such as thrown weapons, can be treated as any other weapon when used in combat. However, ranged weapons may be used to reduce a monster's endurance by putting your ammunition and the use of your weapon at risk. So ranged weapons start with 3 slots, which is what you have. You make a risk roll to reduce the endurance as normal, but instead of devil's bargains, you add a light die for each unmarked slot you're willing to risk. For each light die that comes up 1, 2, or 3, you mark a slot of ammunition. So basically you're throwing, like, you have lots of knives, like it's abstract. You're just like throwing a bunch and that's all you've got kind of left. So it's just a regular risk roll. You have the knife itself is your first light die. And what's at stake is whether you're able to reduce its endurance or not. And I think, yeah, how many light dice would you like to? You can risk up to 1, 2, or 3, basically, if you have 3 slots available.
I have 3 slots available, but I do want to save some. I think I'm gonna risk 1 dagger, like 1 slot.
Yeah, it's 1 slot.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. So you're gonna roll a risk 2, basically, 2 light.
Yep.
And you got a 5 and a 2. Because of the 2, you have to mark that slot.
That's all right. I can live with that.
Yeah, but you otherwise get your hit.
Okay.
And so the thing is now a 9.
I can live with that.
Also, the thing is a 9. Because Sarah's on your back, you have to roll 2 weak points. If you intend to keep him alive, that is.
I'm gonna try.
People try to help fight. He can fight as well.
Okay. I've been rolling 2 weak points this whole mission.
Yeah.
So I as far as like for how I'm weak, I'm climbing with the human on my back.
Exactly right.
I'm weak in every way. So let's roll. We got a 5. Low numbers, please. Okay, and a 2. All right.
Okay, 5 and a 2.
So I want the high dice.
It's a combat 2 to start, and if you get 9, you win.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not an awful chance. Nothing I can add to that to help boost the roll right now. Okay. Nope.
So
That's an
close.
8. So close.
You take a hit and you don't win.
I do.
So just describe the first part of the fight. What's happening here? Actually,
Yeah.
your ruin does not go up instantly. Something else happens. Just describe your
Okay.
ineffective attempts to destroy the thing.
Yeah. I think it's like we're mostly pulling our way up this rope, but I think there is. I'm sort of imagining on like the walls of this inky space, there are strands, clumps of these wrapped body parts of previous victims of these spiders. And so like I'm kind of pulling myself up from like some old webbing as well as the rope to try to clamber up quickly. And I think at first I'm just trying to slow this thing down. So like I'm just like grabbing random little pods of goodness knows what, from long dead people who came through here, and just sort of like ripping them off the wall and chucking them down at the spider behind, and they just like plink off harmlessly as it faster
It
clambers
leaps
up.
and sinks its fangs into the meaty part of your thigh. It hurts, but does make your ruin go up. But as soon as it withdraws its fangs, Osto, you find yourself at the site of Hisham's fountain. Hisham's fountain, for people who don't know, maybe either of you or people watching the video, it's a fountain that is essentially the size of a small city, basically, or a small town. You can see it on the horizon, right? It's multiple levels. It has multiple, like dozens and dozens of like water features all over it and hundreds of statues. I mean, it's like a building, but it's a fountain. And your drive is to rebuild it. But you've established already that you didn't really know what that you misunderstood Hisham's fountain, right? Do you understand that correctly?
So Osto's not really sure what god or being is speaking to him, and he's not entirely sure what Hisham's fountain is. I think probably like in the glimpses of his vision, he might have seen this, but not really understood what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this maybe feels this is recognizable to Osto, but I don't even think immediately he realizes that this is Hisham's fountain, but that this is just a location from the vision he's received from his god.
I like it. So then out of character for the three of us, or for the two of you really, I would like for you to tell me, how is Hisham's fountain like degraded? Like, why does it need to be rebuilt? What's wrong with it?
I think that there are not on all of the statues, because some of them are sort of stand there on the periphery, standing vigil over the space. But I think that there are many water features that are statued fountains, and I think many of them are like seem to be completely dry. Like there's some obstruction that's preventing them from putting forth the water, and those that do, the water is like a murky, brownish red, and not remotely the color of the clear water you'd expect.
I have an idea, but I need to ask if something is possible first. Is it possible for Hisham's fountain or anything to exist out of time?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
okay, perfect. So I think what happened is Hisham's fountain bears all the wear and tear of many, many different time periods. You can see that in random cracks there are vines that have grown through and kind of widened them. You can see in random places graffiti, something you'd expect in our time, is just sprayed all over it. You can see that there are parts of the statue that people have statues or the fountain itself that people have chipped off because they seem valuable and stuff.
Osto, one of the statuary in your vision is definitely blinking. What do you do?
I think, where is it relative to me? Is this like high up above me? Is this
It's like right at, you have easy access to it. Yeah.
or is it sort of like dream physics where like if I pay close enough attention, I'm just there next to it?
That
Like,
works too. Yeah.
okay.
Standing
So
in
yeah,
mucky water. Yeah.
yeah, he takes a closer look and he's there and he's standing next to it, and the murky brackish water is lapping at his feet as it slowly dribbles out of this feature. And he sees the blinking eyes and sort of like takes a closer look, and I think he reaches out a hand to touch the statue and see if it feels like stone or metal or if it feels like something else.
It feels like stone, but the statue does speak. It says, Toaster, I'm going to need you to start climbing again, please. I need you to hurry up now. The spider is presently wrapping us up in webs while you just hang here doing nothing. Esfahan. Osto is just like in a fugue state. He's not moving anymore. And Sarah is freaking out in his back. And the spider is like wrapping crystalline webs around the two of them. What do you do?
I think now Esfahan's gonna try to ward them, both for the purpose of protecting them and for the and hoping that that little connection that she and Osto seem to have is gonna
Break the
snap him out
trance.
of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Sounds good. David, what could go wrong?
I think the sort of vision poison, the magical poison venom, can spread to Esfahan by Esfahan trying to deepen the connection.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. I like that a lot, actually. That's a good idea. Okay, let's talk about dice. Let's take a look at your. I don't know about skills here, unless you have to draw symbols for the ward. Maybe a piece of equipment would be good to get that first light die.
I'm trying to figure out what could be useful. Maybe I'd light a candle as a ritual sort of thing.
Oh yeah, like to follow the light. Us too.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it. Okay. You got one light die. My offer is you actually have to go into Osto's hallucination space and convince Osto to snap out of it.
Oh god, that's really good. Mine is kind of related to that. My bargain would be, no matter what, in like sort of strengthen your connection to Osto while he's experiencing this. I think you're going to experience the visions that Osto has had that have driven him to his drive of rebuilding Hisham's fountain.
I love both of those. I think I'm gonna stick with the one where I have to go and pull him out because I like the RP potential there.
Too light for now. I don't think it needs a dark yet.
Mhm.
Oh no, you have to because of the
Ritual.
ward. You got the ward. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 light, 1 dark.
Yeah. Hey, 6 dark. Your
It
ruin
is
goes up.
higher than my ruin.
Yeah, your ruin goes up.
I am at 5 ruin again.
But you succeed. Let's have the scene. Osto, another statue is blinking.
I like the idea that
glowing like it's holding a candle.
Yeah, it's holding
I
a
like the
candle
idea
and
that this water feature that I'm standing in, it's like the top part is like some water bearer with an amphora that is pouring this brackish liquid, and then next to it is like a child holding a basket of loaves of something. And so like before it was like the top one with the amphora, the eyes turn and look, and now it's like this child looking up. And instead of the basket of goods, there's now like a candle in their hand.
Nice. And Esfan says, Osto, Osto, can you hear me?
Yes, statue child, I can hear you.
Interesting question here. Can Esfahan hear you talk back? Yeah.
I
Or
think
does
you've
she
sort of
just
like
get
you've
emotions?
like come into the dream space. So
Yeah,
like,
I think all three of you are connected right now, right? In a
yeah.
way.
Oh god, not Sir. Also fine. Um,
He
yeah.
says, I could have
And
actually warned you about this. I knew it was going to happen if anyone took the plunge. Oh well,
and you didn't
hindsight.
care to tell us.
Hindsight is,
What
50-50
took the
or whatever they
plunge into
say.
the fountain? It's not very deep. I'd
Oh,
hardly
shut up,
describe
you.
it as a plunge.
You have to get him out of here.
Osto, we are in the Rime Palace. You have been bitten by a spider. This is a vision.
Rime
There's a
Palace.
spider statuary feature in the fountain.
And it's just like moving around. Huh. Where? No, I'm
Do you
receiving
recognize my voice?
a vision from. You're not my god.
I am not.
You're. It's like sort of like a spark of recognition. Esfahan? Why
Yes,
are
this is
you in
not
a
a vision from
child?
your god. It was very short notice. I didn't have a choice.
Oh, fair enough. Uh, uh, I'm not here. This is. I think he's like starting to realize that like nothing feels quite right. He doesn't like unless he's concentrating on it. He doesn't feel the water lapping at his feet. It's like something he can only again sort of like dream logic. It's you only really notice things when you're focused on them, and he's like realizing that like his body doesn't feel the way that it normally does. He's not aware of everything. It's very limited scope, and he's like, how do I get out of this?
Just follow the light, Tesco. Follow the light.
Follow the
And
light.
he, all right, and he just like reaches his hand in and grabs the light of the candle.
And you are out of it. And you can rip free of the not quite yet solidified crystalline webs and begin, with Esfahan's help, hoisting yourself up. And you'll get up to the edge through the beaded curtain. Sarah says, well, again, apologies for not mentioning all that. But I feel like we've all bonded quite a bit, haven't we? Don't you feel closer
Esfahan
to
is
each other?
brushing. Oh god, I'm gonna kill him. Esfahan is brushing Osto off, and she turns to Sarah and she says, ignoring everything he just said, is there anything else you'd care to mention?
Well, you must understand I haven't seen much more of the palace. I was not a very good game player, and so my original journey into the belly of this crystalline beast was cut short right about back there. I do know that you need these masks, and he puts his mask on, and you can do the same if you wish.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
He says, splendid, splendid. All right. Tally forth. And he says, kind of ushers you on. Do be quick about it. I would like to, leave this place eventually.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll just add real quick then. As Osto, has clambered up, he's through past the beaded curtain. He goes to relieve his ritual release the yoke that's been activated, and he does, and the glowing sort of fades away some, but like he's just left with these large bull horns on either side of his head, per our earlier discussion.
Perfect.
Love it.
As they're walking, Esfahan's gonna kind of bump shoulders with Osto very gently so he doesn't bump her back and shove her into a wall. And she's gonna say, "Are you all right? That vision was something, and you have a little."
Where is it? The web?
You have horns now.
Oh, like he'll like grab it and be like, it's like just outside this edge of his vision. He's just like, okay. Can I gore someone with these?
They seem like a normal bull's horns. I don't see why not.
This will be hard to hide.
We can get you a big hat or something.
It will need to be a very big hat. And he slides on his Fey mask. But at least I look the part.
Love it. You follow the corridor for a bit, and it goes to one place. A vast wintry garden. With a large open space that is surrounded by frost-dusted topiaries of humanoid creatures in poses of romantic embrace. So topiary, men and women, men and men, men and women, or women and women, anyway, lots of different configurations of topiaries in romantic embrace. Roses with mirror-like petals bloom at the base of these topiaries. And above you see what appears to be a sky lit by multiple unfamiliar moons. There are dark, starry, wolf-like beasts prowling the edge of the space. They're like wolves made of like night sky. You will realize, Esfahan, that the large central space all of this stuff is around is actually a marble dance floor. And there are little flickering wisps on the dance floor, moving to an unheard piece of music. And I think we'll stop there for today. A little early, but there's just two of us, or three of us. And I would like for Alicia to be here for the next bit. So let's go ahead and do stars and wishes. Stars, huh? And wishes. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I'm weirdly enough, I'm going to start with the wish. I want Sarah to make it. As tragic and as beautifully tragic as it would be for him to like lose out in the last mile, I'm so curious as to like what he's gained from being here, and I would kind of love to have him more in the campaign. We'll see if we can keep him alive, but
that's good. That makes me happy because it means like I played the NPC in a way that is appealing. So that's good.
He's definitely grumpy, but he's I'm really. I think he'd be a really fascinating character to stick around. So,
yeah, it was a star for me. I had a lot of fun playing him. He's kind of written in this way. I mean, it's more about just like kind of getting into the headspace of a character who's been trapped being the game's warden for all this time, right? And even by cheating has not been able to escape the collar. And I love in particular the the like little story detail that we came up with because of how you chose to play it, that like just smashing the collar worked. like like, and because it feels like fake cruelty that like that is all it took, right? So I really love that. But yeah, I've got other stars, but I just wanted to say that.
I star for Esfahan for I just loved the like, well, the floor's not stable, it gets on a table and then just starts hopping table to table. It was just a good image. The whole game's area is very cool. I like how that works. I was not expecting the spiders underneath. That was cool.
Yeah, I've run this a couple times and we don't always get to do the spiders, so it was fun to do the spiders. Yeah, it was really good. um Another star for me. I really enjoyed. I just kind of enjoyed the whole like the connections the two of you were making with these characters, and in particular using this sort of like connection between like the magic and the arcane sort of things they've experienced to kind of bring them closer. I know that was something that we had as a wish last time, or maybe a couple times ago, but I like that it came through today. It was really fun to see that. So, Kavya, any stars or wishes?
Um, definite star for yes, that character interaction development. I loved it. I love that we seem to have a vague idea of what Starball means now. Um, Sarah is interesting, and to be clear, Nigel was a very well played character. Esfahan just hated him. Sarah is she still hates him, but he has knowledge, so
He
slightly
feels like
better.
a nicer Nigel. Like Sarah, at least for now, it could be that like we go down the sort of mind very warped after his time here, but like there's already like a hint that maybe there's a twinge of that maybe, but he seems.
I
I
think
think more than anything, there's sort of a pity.
I think he almost certainly like this like didn't tell you about the spider pit on purpose, right? Like
Yeah,
that felt
Oh yeah.
purposeful to me, right? Yeah. Like how do you just forget that? But I don't know, we'll see if that has any like bearing on the future, but yeah.
Definite star for stars plural because it was really good for the narrative beats that we ended up with, like whether it be the devil's bargains or the what could go wrong and then did go wrong, and the way you took that and ran with it. I really love how things went today.
Yeah, big same. I thought the mechanics of the game really drove the story, and then like the mechanics combined with everyone's ideas, combined with like me reincorporating those ideas, it all kind of really came together to make like a couple of like really exciting scenes. Like the first scene was like very funny and tense, but like funny, and you could imagine the TV show version of that scene very easily, right? And then it kind of had this like action packed like set piece, that kind of developed afterwards. And in particular, the sort of like shifting tiles making this sort of floating chessboard. I only had that idea because of the previous Devil's Bargain that was like the place shifts, right? That's not something that happens in the incursion is written. And so I really dug that. It was a lot of fun.
Also, side note, David, of course Esfahan got on tables. She is a dancer. She will stand on whatever surface is available.
fair enough.
That's my wish. I'm excited about the next set is a dance floor set. The whole thing it's literally dancing. It's like combat as dancing as combat. And so I'll be very excited to see how that plays out, especially because that's like Esfahan's thing. And I think that'll also be fun to do with Osto and Nevin, and Editha and Sarah. Like it's going to be an interesting party.
Oh,
like, with a bunch of people, presumably with fake court nobles, right? Like I think it's going to be very interesting to see all that play out. So yeah, good times. Yeah,
I
to look
love that
forward
we're
to.
collecting NPCs. It's
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't. I do. Aditha's not trustworthy. Aditha's more than proven herself to be like very self-serving, and Sarah, I think we're still in a interesting place with Sarah. I think he's legitimately grateful for you rescuing him, but I think he's also crazy, and so like that could be, a problem. So anyway, good time. Any other stars or wishes?
Yeah, just one more star to just, I think we did a really good job this session of like leaning into the sort of like the circle of the system. The way that like the way that the roles chain and the way that you build the narrative through the building blocks to each dice resolution. I just thought it just went really nicely.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the gameplay loop is terrific, and like we got to see that in different contexts, which I thought was really fun. Like we got
Mhm.
kind of an action context and kind of a social context. That was all really good to see. So I agree. Okay. Well, with all that said, thank you for meeting me for this shorter session, but I think we got a lot done. It was fun. And I will go ahead and stop the recording.